welcome to the Franchise Martyn Show. We are here at the National Exhibition. For those who don't know who you are, do you want to introduce yourself and the brands that you represent?
My name's Martyn. I'm the Managing Director of Cafe2U. We're the world's largest mobile coffee business. We have about 90 franchisees currently, all across the UK, as far north as Aberdeen, all the way down to the south coast of England.
Nice. I've had your coffee, it's very good.
Excellent. The coffee is pretty special.
So I know, because I did an event where I live locally, and Cafe2U was one of the coffee stall holders.
Okay.
What other kind of things do you do? What can franchisees expect?
It's a great question. Literally anything that you'd find in a premium coffee shop, you'll find in a Cafe2U van. The only thing missing is the free Wi-Fi and the tables and chairs. So sweet treats, snacks, salads, sandwiches, but the real focus is the hot drinks, the amazing coffee that we serve.
Yeah, and you kind of will go wherever people need coffee or hot chocolate.
Yeah, that's right. So on a Monday to Friday, our franchisees will be out serving businesses. We go to different business areas, business parks, industrial estates, and it's very much based around a routine. We go to the same places at the same time each day. Which is lovely because it means that our franchisees really get to know their customers. They'll see somebody walk out to the van and they'll see Steph, and they won't ask you what you want because they know. They'll start making your drink and it's ready and fresh and delicious when you come out to it. On top of the Monday to Friday, we do loads of events, and that could be anything from kids football on a Saturday to a church event, or crikey, anything really.
Yeah. And that kind of relationship where you build up the regular kind of clientele, going to like the business parks and that kind of thing, how do franchisees develop that? Like, how does that come about?
So it really starts with the very beginning of their business journey. When we recruit a new franchisee, we put them on what we call our 4-week accelerated business launch. So the first week is residential at our offices in Leeds, and it's the only time we make assumptions, and we make two. We assume that they've never made a cup of espresso coffee before, and we assume that they've never run a business, and we start from there.
Okay.
And we go through everything, covering the accounting, the marketing side of the business, but really focus on the core barista skills to make sure that they're crafting amazing drinks by the time they leave Leeds on a Friday afternoon. The second week, we're down in their local area, working with them, getting all of their supply areas set up, all of their stock starts to arrive, and we do some very gentle marketing in their local area. And then on weeks 3 and 4, they have one of my franchise development managers with them for that entirety of the 2 weeks. And this is where we start engaging with customers and building that round. We really go at the pace of the individual. It's not just sell, sell, sell. We want to make sure that we're imparting knowledge. And we're leaving them at the end of that 2-week period with a business that's sustainable, but most importantly with the skill sets that they need to keep growing, really. So we, in effect, find the customers for them.
That's really good. That's quite helpful for someone that's new to the industry who may not be as au fait as you guys are.
It's without question the most daunting part of
Yeah.
opening any business, whether it's a Cafe2U franchise or anything else. You know, that fear factor for every business owner is, where do I find my customers? And that's the beauty of franchising in general. Every franchisor that you see in the show here today will have their own unique recipe. They'll have their own unique way of finding customers for their franchisees.
Yeah, definitely. And having that support of people like yourselves from the head office who know the industry, who know the business inside out, that's going to be really helpful as well. How much peer-to-peer support is there?
Oh my goodness, it's never ending. We really believe in the fact that franchisees are teammates rather than competitors, and we encourage that interaction. So we have, oh my goodness, one of the most active WhatsApp groups you could ever imagine. And just as an example, we launched a new franchisee about 2 weeks ago. His name's Vikas, just an amazing guy. And so we don't add a new franchisee to the WhatsApp group until we finish the launch. So Vikas was added to the group, and immediately you've got this whole wave of franchisees welcoming him to the network. And
That's so
if
lovely.
there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And it's a real family feel. And that really is born from within. You know, that's coming from our franchise network, which is just lovely to see. But we also promote that. We have regular regional meetings. We started a new format this year. We call them our summer socials, where we got franchisees together regionally and just took them out for dinner. And there was really no set agenda. We just programmed them to be something whereby the franchisees could talk about whatever they wanted to. And it's really just encouraging that team mentality within a network, because owning your own business can be a lonely place. And we want to make sure that people never feel like they're on an island.
Yeah, that's really important, I think.
Yeah.
And the kind of people that you've got in the network, you said you've got over 95. What kind of person is best suited to Cafe2U? What kind of backgrounds are they coming in from?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's a big question, I know.
If you lined up our entire network of franchisees, you'd think we'd handpick one from every single industry. Yeah, just such a broad church of backgrounds, from accountants and lawyers to healthcare workers to a bus driver, just a whole raft of backgrounds. But the things that they have in common are that they're people. They love talking to people. They love that engagement, and they've got high standards. You know, if you're not willing to promote something that is absolutely spotless all the time, this wouldn't be a great fit. You know, when you're operating in a premium sector, everything has to be premium, and that starts from the appearance of the van. They have to be spotless, and the quality of the drinks that they're crafting has to be absolutely on point. So yeah, it's not something where we need specific experiences, but they have to have very high personal standards. And love talking to people. Yeah.
So Martyn, how did you get into Cafe2U?
So I've been with the business about 13 years.
Okay, not long then.
No, not long. I missed the first 7.
Okay.
But there's actually a very funny story behind this. So in a previous life, I used to be managing director of a large signage franchise company. And one of my franchisees called me up and said, look, I've got a new client and he's launching a mobile coffee business. And we're doing the signage. I'd love you to meet him. So I was introduced to Tom Ackland, who was the founder of Cafe2U, when we were doing the sign work for the very first Cafe2U vans back in 2005, 2004. And kind of just charted the progress of the brand for the first 6 or 7 years. And then had the opportunity to join the business and invest in the business, about 13 years ago now.
Okay, wow.
Yes, it's a long time ago.
A long time ago. But it's quite nice as well that you had that personal connection from the previous role. You didn't come into it blind, you knew what you were getting involved in.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, when I first saw this in 2004, I'm like, a red van selling coffee? How's that going to work? But back then, there really was no coffee culture. Costa didn't really exist. They had a few locations in London. Starbucks were just about coming into the UK market. There was no Cafe Nero. There was certainly no other mobile operators. So we were really pioneers in the premium coffee space. We were the first people to bring the flat white to the UK.
Way.
Yeah. Claim to
Thank
fame.
you.
Claim to fame. Thank you. Hey, our pleasure. And we love what we do. You know, we really champion the change in the consumer expectations. Lockdown has a lot to answer for when it comes to consumer preferences. Are you a coffee drinker yourself, Steph?
I love a good coffee. I can't do instant coffee at all. I love good coffee.
See, it's funny, isn't it? Because it's not a cheap treat. It's an expensive habit. So certainly, if you're like me and most consumers, if you're just having 1 or maybe 2 cups of coffee a day, you want to make sure they're really good. I don't want to waste them on a bad coffee.
No.
So yeah, everything we do is geared up to be the best that it can possibly be. I mean, we have our own roastery, which is based here in the UK.
That's good.
Last year we won an award for being in the top 3 specialty roasters in Europe at the European Coffee Convention, which is huge.
Yeah.
But a lot of it comes down to the way that we buy our coffee. We don't work with the big cooperatives. We work direct with the farmers. So if we find a certain bean that we know works very, very well for our blend, we'll guarantee the next 2 years or 3 years worth of yield for the farmers, which means that they can secure jobs for their staff. They can build schools, they can build hospitals. You know, it really changes communities.
Yeah.
So there's very much an ethical feel-good factor about what we do. I've got this crazy goal that we're going to be the first major branded coffee chain in the UK to be fully carbon neutral. We have a long way to go, but certainly the coffee, we've got that on point. Our cups are fully recyclable, fully compostable. We promote the use of reusable cups, so we're keeping paper out of the office. The vans are now fully electric, which is just incredible.
It's really good.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. And that's opened a lot of doors for us too. So we're certainly on an exciting journey when it comes to our sustainability credentials.
Yeah, I did not know that. So,
okay.
And the fact that you're working directly with the farmers, you're kind of giving back as well. It's not just having a business. You're giving back directly to where it's needed.
Yeah.
Cutting out any middlemen.
Yeah. Yeah. It just makes sense, and that's kind of the beauty of where we sit as a brand. We're not so big that we're covered in bureaucracy and we can't make immediate changes. We're still nimble, we're still agile, we can still make decisions with the benefits of our franchisees right at the centre of those decisions.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of, you mentioned about how COVID had changed consumer demand and that kind of thing. Why is now a good time to invest in a coffee business?
We haven't even scratched the surface with where this market's going. There's no question that coming out of COVID, the consumer expectations are totally different to where they were before. There's been a huge growth in independent coffee shops.
Yeah.
I live in a reasonably small town, not too far away from here, and they have the Costas, they have the Starbucks, they have the Neros, but there's this huge growth of really, really super quality independent coffee shops, and that's where the consumers are choosing to go now.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you remember at the beginning of lockdown, I certainly do, and it wasn't a nice time, but you couldn't go to the gym, so Peloton took off, and you couldn't get your hands on a Peloton machine.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with coffee machines at home. Sage and DeLonghi and some of these other domestic branded coffee machines, you couldn't get them. They sold out because people wanted that coffee fix at home.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, people started to realize, well, actually, it's not as easy as it looks. I thought I could just put coffee in the top and press a button and it comes out. And on YouTube, there were a couple of people, actually, one in particular, James Hoffman, an amazing guy. He has millions and millions and millions of followers now, but he really educated the British public as to what great coffee looks like all the way through COVID. So coming out the other side, we were being asked an awful lot more questions. What's your perfect extraction time? What's your recipe? What's your blend? That never happened before.
That's really good.
So it's quite an exciting time,
Yeah.
and it gives us the ability to really push the envelope when it comes to staying at the forefront of consumer trends.
Yeah.
The coffee's never been better. It's unbelievably good.
Yeah. Do you like a good coffee? What's the secret to a good Cafe2U coffee?
The secret is it starts with amazing beans, roasted to the absolute pinnacle of each individual bean that goes into a blend. Some of the big roasters will blend coffee together and roast in one go, but beans will behave in different ways. Some might be roasted at 450 degrees, some might be 500 degrees, some might be 300. But we roast individually and then blend at the end, so we're really getting the best out of everything that goes into the coffee. But it really comes down to the barista. So from the coffee cherry to the roastery, it's kind of 5 or 6 years worth of love and labor that's gone into getting that coffee bean to where it's at. We get to look after it for the last 30 to 40 seconds of its life.
Yeah.
From grinding it and extracting it and adding the amazingly textured milk. And that's the piece that's really, really important. So each of our operators will know exactly what the extraction time is they're looking for. We work on an exacting dose. So it's very much scientific. We know there's 9 bars of pressure going through the water. We know how much coffee's in. We know how long it's going to take to extract. And if you get all of those things right, you're going to end up with something that will knock your socks off.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that, you're right, it is about the barista, because there's been times when I've gone somewhere and they do things like burn the milk.
Oh, don't.
Overheat the and it's just no, let me do it.
A word of advice: if you walk into a coffee shop and you hear that milk screaming,
just get out.
Just turn and run for the door. Yeah, it really is, and that's the proteins in the milk burning. They're tearing the proteins apart, and you know, one of the things that we love, it's a little party trick in the office. Whenever we have somebody in for the first time, and we make them a coffee, and they say, "Could I add sugar?" We will always say, "Just try it without first." Because if you get it right, you're going to get the natural sweetnesses from the milk, and you shouldn't need sugar.
Absolutely. I only have sugar when there's a bad coffee.
The number of people that we've converted over the years, it's hilarious, and that will never get old.
In terms of investing in a Cafe2U, how scalable is the model? So if someone was to invest in a van, can they invest in multiple? Can they grow their own business? Like, how easy is that to achieve?
I think if any franchisor tells you that a business is easy, be very careful. Like anything, the more effort you put in and the more work you put in, there's a direct correlation with success. Most of our franchisees are single van operators. Not so much lifestyle operators, but they understand that they can sweat the asset for as many hours as they choose to, whether it's going back to, we talked about events at weekends. Not everybody does events, but most do. We do have a small number of multi-van franchisees, some that have 2, some that have 3, some that have 4. It's a very different proposition at that stage, because all of a sudden you're managing employees, you've got staff to deal with, and most of the people that we have in the network didn't come into it to manage employees. They came in because they wanted to almost move away from that. But yeah, it's definitely an area that we'd love to grow. I'd love to get the portfolio investor involved in Cafe2U. It's not something that we've really been successful in doing over the years, for no other reason than we just haven't been successful doing it. One of the other things that came out of lockdown was another brand. I don't know whether you can see on my shirt, but I have 2 brands here today. So those first couple of weeks when I was sat in my office at home going, oh my goodness, what happens if? We started looking at automatic coffee machines, kind of like a Starbucks on the go model, or a Costa Express, Lavazza, that kind of thing. And it wasn't something that we'd ever put our name to. I wasn't comfortable doing it because I didn't think we could get a quality of drink out that was something we'd put our name to. However, the more research we did, it's like getting a big onion and peeling back the layers. It just got sweeter and sweeter, and it was really something that was designed to de-risk the businesses of our Cafe2U franchisees if things didn't return back to the way that they were prior to COVID. And we've had a really large number of Cafe2U franchisees take us up on this in-house model, and we now have machines selling amazing coffee in kind of medium to large workplaces, which means that those clients that would always kind of tongue-in-cheek say to a franchisee, haha, can't you park your van here for all day long? And well, now we kind of can. It's just not a van, it's through a machine. So that's a really exciting growth area for us as well.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Martyn, it's been really interesting talking. I literally could talk about coffee pages. If someone was interested in finding out more about joining the network or becoming a franchisee, where would they find you?
Cafe2U.co.uk is a great place to start. We have a bespoke franchise website with loads of videos, loads of testimonials. Obviously, the prospectus is there to download. But we have a really firm belief in the fact that it's so important that you get your due diligence process right. So we take people on a journey of learning, really designed to make sure that anybody that does invest in the Cafe2U brand, they know exactly what they're getting into, and we know what we can expect from them. And when that happens, typically the water's warm.
Yeah, the water's warm. Not too hot.
About 86 degrees.
Excellent. Martyn, thank you so much for your time.
Steph, thank you so much.
You're welcome.